Hey, what's up? DillyOT2K here, about to answer an email, and this is a good topic that I've been thinking about for a long time. I struggled with this with myself in the past, and hopefully I can speak on it and maybe give some advice or some insight on how I look at it and all of that. Shout out to Perfect Pitch. Shout out. The question is this: as an up-and-coming producer, is it okay to produce for Christian rap artists, but you mainly produce secular music? And I guess let me give you a little bit of background. You know, there was a time, a good chunk of time here, where I was struggling between, oh my gosh, if I do Christian music, then I can't write another R&B song again, or if I do R&B music and talk about sex or talk about love and intimacy and talk about adult things that everybody goes through, even pastors, that I can't sing about my relationship with God. Now, you know, preface, if you're not a person of faith, you don't believe in God, you don't believe in all that, this video isn't for you. You might as well turn it off right now, because this won't apply to you. You are on a different mindset, which is fine, but you may not understand where I come from when I bring God into the thought. On the other hand, if you're a guy of faith and you believe in something like how I do, and I'll be the first to tell you I don't understand it all, but I do believe there's something going on. But in the meantime, I don't wait on it to do something. I take action, or I try to take action. I'm still a student. So let's talk about it. If you're like me, you've probably heard people say, and you may have heard ministers say, you can't be lukewarm, you'd be all for God or all for nothing and all this other stuff, you know. But, you know, I don't think they bring that up when the person who works a secular job is going to pay a tithe to that ministry. I don't think it matters where a person works as long as they're tied into the ministry, because a lot of times that's what the pastors bring up. Oh, you working, let's bring 10%. You know, I don't think it matters to pastor, and I don't think it bothers God that you do it. You see, there's a lot. See, what I'm working on now, and what a lot of people work on, is that we get caught up in worrying about what other people think. And I believe it does have some weight to that, because, like, say for instance, at your job, you know, if you kind of bring yourself too much in the job, then people will find reasons to impeach you at that job, to let you go at that job, to hold something against you at that job. So there is a certain degree where you have to worry about what other people think. But I think that when it comes to being a music producer and creative music, you have to check that at the door sometimes, because if I sat here and I played this machine and I made these beats and I'm worried about, oh, this person may like it or that person may like it, or if I feared rejection from these taxi leads I'm sending music to, then I would be petrified and I wouldn't even do anything. And I think that as a music producer, anybody creative person, if you want to make a track for a Christian artist or rap artist, go ahead. And be cool with yourself when you go back and make a hip-hop track for the streets. Be cool with yourself when you find somebody cussing on your tracks. Because that person cussing on that tracks is not you. You're not them. You know, a lot of people, and see, that's the thing. People are going to look at you however they want to look at you, no matter how hard you try to appear good in their eyes. No matter how hard you go and try and produce for gospel musicians, there's going to be some pastor or somebody in ministry that's going to have an issue with what you do. And vice versa. Somebody's going to try and clown you for doing gospel tracks for another artist. So at the end of the day, you got to put all that stuff to the side and say, forget it. You got to love yourself first and appreciate yourself first. And if somebody in the house of God doesn't appreciate what you do, you still got to appreciate it. If somebody out in the street don't appreciate what you do, you still got to appreciate it. You still got to love it. You still got to be free to do it. Because ain't nobody going to ground in your dream for yours. So who is anyone else to say outside of that to tell you what to do with your dream? You, at the end of the day, got to figure that out. You got your own path. You got your own route. You're not going to get in the game like how I get in the game. And I'm not going to get in the game like how you get in the game. You're not going to get paid like how I'm going to get paid. And I'm not going to get paid like how you're going to get paid. And especially in music production and all that stuff, we don't know which way we're going to get to the dream. All we know is the pursuit. And once we get to it, then we can tell the story. Until then, we got to try anything we can get our hands on to go for it. That's just how it is. You know? So in my opinion, if you produce a track for a gospel artist and you produce the amazing stuff for the street, go ahead. Because we don't know how God can take that track and do good in the earth with that. We don't know how God can make good out of a track that Tupac made, cussing all over it. We don't know how many lives we don't know how many more lives are saved off of a secular track than a gospel track. Because the person who's strung out one in the inner life can relate to what the street person is saying more than they can relate to the person who's on the gospel track. And who are we to say which way is wrong when we're trying to save a life and not hurt anybody else in the process? So do how you want to do it. I'm going to do how I want to do it. If somebody from a gospel group or whatever wants to do a track, fine. But don't judge me when I go back and make some 808 for the streets too. Because out in these streets I got more respect than I got in the church. That's just my life. Working in these churches. I ain't never going to forget it. I ain't never going to forget it. There's more people that respect my name and see me as the artist and music producer than I was in these streets, more than the last 10 years I did sound at the church. And most people at the church don't even check up on a brother. But I love myself enough and check up on myself enough to not let that matter. But I'm not going to forget it. Forgive them? Yeah. But I'm not going to forget the scenarios. I'm not going to forget what I went through. People come on YouTube and comment on my channel all the time. Something wrong with you. You were wrong. After I just said, hey, from the beginning, you're not going to agree with what I said. You're not going to agree with it. You're going to try and impeach me for something I said. And I get it. It's the internet. It's the internet. It's so easy to turn around and get on your keyboard and say something against what they said. So that's why you have to make sure to love yourself most, appreciate yourself most, and ignore the confusion that comes out on the internet from other people, because that's going to come. People are not going to understand your dreams and goals. They're not going to get it. But they ain't got to fight that fight for you too. And if all they want to do is just go to work, live and come home, go to work, live and come home, go to a club, have a few drinks, come home, that's fine. But if you have a different charge on your life, then that's them. But so I say, my opinion is do whatever you want to do. Treat everybody nicely, respect for everybody, and if you're not feeling a project, don't do it. There are so many secular producers out there now that got gospel placements, and vice versa. You don't see it stopping Kirk Franklin. I bet if Kirk Franklin could get a track from 40 Shabib, he would. There are no rules. Just be good. I'm telling you, there's no rules. Cause definitely ain't no rules in the house of God. Cause Christians can do you dirtier than they do them folks do you in the street. I've been through it. Now there's a book of rules we're supposed to follow, but that doesn't guarantee other Christians to follow it. Same thing in the street. It's all the same to me. That's why I try to be good to everybody who I run into, and as respectful as I can be to everybody. Because you don't know what someone else is going through, and you don't know what positive effect you can have on people. But at the same time, not everybody who should be appreciating that, and not everybody who should be respecting that is going to. At the end of you working on your music, you don't want to say, well, what if I tried making this gospel track? What if I tried doing it? The people who spout things that make you fear and afraid of being creative in any way you want to aren't even going to care. They're not even going to remember they said that. They're not even going to remember something they said that you remember. They're not even going to remember the fact that they judged you for what you wanted to do. And who am I to limit how God can work? He'll work through a secular track, he'll work through a God. He'll work any way he kind of works. My responsibility is to do as good as I can, the best I can, with my flaws, and also love myself. So you gotta love yourself, you gotta appreciate yourself, and never let go of that. I've made that mistake a lot of times. Your mind can tear yourself up in the process, so don't do that. And take action and be good. If you feel good about a project, try it. You know? But just know that even when you do the right thing, judgment and impeachment are still going to be thrust upon you. You know? No matter what you do, you know? I mean, for me, I didn't join Taxi. I'm shooting tracks of them. I get rejections and it hurts, but only for a little while. Because an opportunity to get to my dream of getting a placement again might have been blocked with that opportunity. There's still other opportunities that can come my way. And if I limit to where I plant my seeds, if only planting in this field and neglect that field could have been the one. So why not plant your... I see that the video cut off. So, with that being said, you know, do the best you can. So I hope that answers your question. If you got any other questions, email me. I'm raising money for a machine studio. Please donate to the GoFundMe. And I'm done talking about it. I hope it helps somebody.